Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam.
Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. In which station are we now?
15th chapter, 14th is over, Swamiji.
We are in 15th station.
15th station. Today we have to close it by 4:10, 4:15. We have to go out of. So the Purushottama Yoga is supposed to be a very important aspect of spirituality. Prakriti, Purusha and Purushottama. Here the Lord gives us an opportunity to think about, to dwell on these three aspects. Prakriti, he has explained. Purusha, I am there, I am there, I am there, and in both. Just like Papa defined Ram, Om stands for the Nirguna Nirakar, Sri stands for the Saguna Sakar, and Ram stands for both and beyond both. The space we are now occupying in the form of a room, which was named formless. Now it has got a name and form. But the moment we remove all these conditionings, again it becomes nameless, formless. But at the moment, its space is known as the Purusha. The outward creation is called the Prakriti. And both are now in the external space. A limited space and unlimited space, and the construction in the limited space. This is how we try to understand these three words. So Uttama Purushottama, that means we should be conscious of the limited form of the unlimited and the creation. That is a Vinobaji put it as not once in a way praying or trying to remember him in puja room. Everybody will have some discipline, early morning when we get up, after the bath we go to the puja room, spend some time with our own discipline. Evening also some may be doing it. Whenever we go to a holy place, we go to the temple, we have the darshan of the deity there. Whenever we happen to hear about an ashram, we go there, we see the Mahatma there. All those things we consider it as spiritual. Okay, but Purushottama Yoga wants something more. It wants, because we should always be knowing that we are in him. There is no time when he is not. So how can we compartmentalize our remembering period? The Purusha and the Prakriti is in the Purushottama. So at no time, we have got a body, mind, intellect which separates us from that, but always the Purusha is there, Uttama Purusha is there, Purushottama is there. The Purushottama expressing through the sense of individuality, the pulsating power behind the body, mind, intellect complex. So body, mind, intellect complex, we can name it as the creation. The pulsating body, the life force, we can call it as the Purusha. And the all-pervading reality in which this exists is called the Purushottama. When we try to understand the Purushottama like this, Are we to now set apart only some time for it? So, Vinobaji, through his interpretation, wants us to do it throughout our waking state. Throughout. His own words. Gita wants every action to be imbued with bhakti. It is good to worship the Lord for half an hour. It is worthwhile to steady the mind and meditate on the Absolute, forgetting the ordinary worldly affairs for a while. At the time of sunrise and sunset, when the splendor of sunshine is particularly appealing, such good habits must of course not be given up, but the Gita is not satisfied with this much. It wants that all the activities that we do throughout the day should be done in the spirit of worship. While doing everything, be it bathing, dining, sweeping, we should have the Lord in our mind. So this is something very important for us because we are trying to bring in the dimension throughout our waking time. Objects, emotions, and thoughts. We become aware of the objects, emotions, and thoughts because the presiding power is within us. So with the power, with the facilities offered by that power, we dedicate everything to that power. When we go through the text, we will have a quick reading. It starts with a very peculiar phenomenon. Universe is like a tree with roots above, branches below. We cannot conceive this, because we have always seen the root is below. And what we see is the branches out. But here, the first stanza itself, he says, Urdhva moolam atashagam ashwattam prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda sa vedavid. Universe is like a tree with roots above, branches below. Meaning what? Manifestation is evident, while the source is a mystery for us. We see the manifestation. It is prakatam, it is vyakadam. But the power behind, the roots, the source, the origin, that is not vyakram. It is avyaktam. It is not visible. So below and above spread these branches which are nourished by gunas, which have sense objects as its buds, and below in the human world stretch forth the roots originating action. The branches, what we see outside, the creation, what we see outside, which are nourished by the gunas. We have found out from the 14th chapter, gunas, in accounts, we say brought forward and carried over. In the cash book previously maintained manually, every day we strike the balance and we say C bar O, carried over. In the next page, we say B bar F, brought forward. So gunas are carried over to the next. Just like the cash balance is brought forward the next page in the cash book, similarly, gunas from this account, when it enters the new body, that is the one which is brought forward. That is why we are all different. Though apparently everything is one and the same, genetically we have come from same source, we are brought up in the same atmosphere, but we find each children of the same father and mother are different in character. So we trace back, then we find that it is because of the gunas that have been brought forward. And in Narupamasyeha tadovilabhyade nandona chadirna sampradishtaha ashyuttamenam suvirudu moolam asanga shastrena dridena chitva. 3 and 4 together we have to read. Tadapadam tat parimargidadvam yasmin gadana nivartandi bhuyaha tameva chadyam purusham pravati yata pravritti prasuda purani. Its form is not here perceived as such, neither its end, nor its origin, nor its existence. Having cut us under this firm-rooted Ashwata, with the strong-rooted Ashwata, then the goal is to be sought for. When we go beyond the purview of the creation, then only the existence of the Creator is realized. That is what is meant. So that means we are asking us to go back to the origin. The origin is not perceived as such. So free from pride and delusion, with the evil of attachment conquered, ever dwelling in the self, with sensory desires completely receded, liberated from the pairs of opposites, the undeluded reach the goal eternal. Nirmana moha jitasanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritya kamaha dvandir vimukta sugadukka samchner gachandya mooda padamavyayam tad. Even people who are moodas, fascinating, they will also reach when Manavu Mohu, when they are free from pride and delusion. Evil of attachment is conquered, Jatasanga dosha. Ever dwelling in the self, Adhyatma Nitya, Vinivritya Kama. When sensory desires completely receded, liberated from the pairs of opposites, Dvandir Vimukadaha. Sugadukka samchner gachandemura. Liberated from the prayers of opposite, the undeluded also reach the goal eternal. Some of the values, some of the preparatory steps, as we have heard. And then some glories of this route. The sun illumines not where, nor the moon, nor the fire. That is my supreme abode. Going with her, they return not. This is often repeated in so many ways. That is why we light the lamp. For all function, we inaugurate it with the light of lamp. Because he is the light of lights, awareness, consciousness. The light is symbolic, it symbolizes awareness, consciousness. So here he says, Nadadbhasayathe suryo na shashango na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartande taddama paramam mama. And then he enters into a most important sloka, Mamai vamsho jivaloge jivabodha sanatanaha. Mamashashan indriyani pravistyani karshati. An eternal portion of myself, having become a living soul in the world of living, you and I, draws to itself from the external nature, the five senses and the mind. A reminder that we are not merely the body, mind, intellect equipment. We owe to that origin. And it is not only a portion of it is there in this form. He is there in entirety. But his glory is so expansive, then he says, Mame Vamsho. It is an amsha, it's a part of my eternal being. Yeah, that is how it should be. It is not that it's a part of my eternal being. And it travels wherever it goes with the 6 indriyas. When the Lord obtains the human body and when he leaves it, he takes these senses and mind and goes as wind takes the scents from the flowers. The flower, the fragrance is taken, no? Flower is not taken. So when we drop the body goes, no doubt. But these gunas travel with you. Then, while transmigrating from one body to another or residing in the same, experiencing sense objects or when united with the gunas, the deluded do not see him, but those who have the eye of wisdom behold him. So the first sloka should always come back to us. Otherwise, we will not know. Without a root, a tree cannot exist. Without a tree, the branches will not be there. But what we see only the stem and the branches. Root is not seen. Urdhva Moolam. It is not seen here. Unless we penetrate, unless we go deep down within ourselves, we will not be able to see the roots. That should be there in our mind. So when this body is dropped, the root power, when it goes, the Moola Shakti, it carries this. One way of interpretation. He is there everywhere. And the simile that the wind carries the fragrance. But it becomes one with the wind, So ultimately everything points out to the Purushottama. That is why if we go through Vinobaji's text, it becomes very, very clear to us. So what is the essence of this particular chapter? Essence is the Gita is bringing the life of action to fulfillment. The Lord Purushottama is the master. I am his servant. This creation is the means for worship. Nothing like I will exist. The sense of I and mine will be completely erased. Everything will be for the Lord. There will be nothing else except wearing ourselves away for the good of others. The Gita is exhorting us repeatedly to remove the sense of I and live a life devoted to the Lord, imbue the life with bhakti. The Lord is the master, I am the servant, and the creation is the means for service. There is no question of getting encumbered with anything. Life will then be free of any worries. Whatever I do, whatever I think, whatever I talk, it is an offering to him.
So eternal is my conscience.
It wants all the activities that we do throughout the day. This is very important. should be done in the spirit of worship. I should feel I am serving the Lord in the form of everything. The Gita wishes to imprint this attitude on us. It wants all the actions to become acts of worship. Worshipping for half an hour or so does not satisfy. The holy text yearns to see the whole life charged with the Lord's presence, with the spirit of worship. Gita says, you will have jnana, karma, bhakti when you see the Purusha everywhere. The eternal servant is Purusha. The Lord, the recipient of the service, the Purushottama, is also Purusha, and the creation which flows continuously takes different forms and provides different things for worship. That is also Purusha. All are different forms of Purusha only. Once again we will read Bhakti, Jnana and Karma. Gita says, you will have it when you see the Purusha everywhere. We will not divide the categories. We will not categorize as Bhakti, Jnana and Karma. Knowledge, action and devotion. Entire thing is combined and offered to him. Eternal servant is Purusha. The Lord, the recipient of service, is Purushottama. He is also the Purusha. And the creation which flows continuously is also Purusha. What does this imply? It implies an attitude of perfect and flawless service to all. If your sandals squeak, oil them. Keep them in good condition. The Lord is present in them too. The spinning wheel is a means of service. Lubricate it regularly, otherwise it will refuse to let you spin. It too is Purusha. It should be kept neat and clean and in working order. The whole creation should be seen as full of consciousness. Do not look upon it as inert. Nothing is inert. Nothing is devoid of His presence. The spinning wheel that hums melodiously is not inert. It is the Lord's image. On the polar day, we worship the bullocks, shedding our pride. This is not an ordinary thing. We should always have the polar spirit in mind while taking due work. It should not be restricted to a single day. The bullock too is a form of the Lord. We should also take due care of the plough and the agricultural implements. All the means of service are sacred. How grand is this vision? Worship does not mean offering flowers, etc. to the image of the Lord. Keeping anything neat and clean and tidy is His worship. Be it a lamp or a skythi or a door hinge, the means of worship should be spotless and faultless. Divine consciousness pervades everything. Papa reverts it as never in a slipshod, clumsy, irregular, half-hearted way. First, bhakti was infused with karma, and now jnana too poured into it, forming the divine elixir of it. The Gita finally brought us to the path of service that is full of Advaita. There are three forms of Purusha in the whole of creation, and it is the Purushottama who takes all these forms. These three together constitute one single Purusha. Nowhere is there any duality, any distinction. This is the pinnacle of spirituality where the Gita has brought us. Here karma, bhakti, jnana fuse together and become one. Jiva and Shiva and the creation become one. There is then no conflict, no contradiction between karma and jnana, bhakti and jnana. The temple, the image of the Lord, and that of the devotee and the flowers for worship are all carved in the same rock. When you go to the temple, a single rock takes different forms. Why should not the same thing happen in the realm of bhakti? Why cannot there be unity between the Bhakta and the God, even when the relationship of master and servant remains? Why cannot the creation, the means of worship, verily become the self, even though it is distinct? All the three Purushas are, after all, one. Jnana, karma, and bhakti should combine to form the spring of life. This is the perfect Purushottama Yoga. Jnana, karma, and bhakti should combine to form the spring of life. The sport of loving devotion should then go on even, though the servant, the master, and the means of service are one and the same. A true devotee is one who has fully assimilated this Purushottama Yoga. He who knows me, the Purushottama, knows all, and he worships me in all the forms of his being. This is elaborately explained, he is there in the form of our Jataragini. The moment we eat, how does the digestion take place? Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha. Pranabana Samayukta Pajaman Tadrubido. So Pranan Apanan. Sarvasya Chaham Hridisannivishtam. Mattas Mridijnanam Apohanam Cha. Vedeshcha Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Veda Videha Cha. Here also he brings out, this Purushottama Yoga means, again hammering. So that 24 hours, out of 24 hours, suppose we are 16 or 17 hours in the waking state, all the waking hours are to be offered. Whatever activities we do during the period, thoughts, words, and deeds, it should be offered. That is highlighted by Vinobaji. Because everything, I am the one who is entering into the earth and bring out sasyas, aushadhi, medicine. And he also says remembrance, knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. All these are also given by me. Smriti Jnanam Apohanam. Sarvasya Cha Aham. I am there in everything. So by highlighting this, what is the use? I must remember him, He is the presiding officer everywhere. All my 5 sense organs become active because he is there. The power behind the seeing, power behind the hearing, power behind the smelling, power behind the eating, power tasting, power behind the touching. How can I afford to forget him? That is why Vinobaji says, don't limit to half an hour, 1 hour, or to limit it to temples and ashrams, or limited to satsang and bhajans and Ramnam. I am there throughout. That is why Papa kept on insisting us that while chanting we should remember, I am chanting the name of one who is within me and who is making me to chant. If he is making me to chant, the same power is making me to see. All my behind the sense organs, he is there. So we have to remember them. Previously we were having a division called Purusha Prakriti, but here only Purushottama. Me the servant, he the master, and rest of the creation is the articles of worship. That is the sum and substance of this whole. Very important. That's why Ashram, universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity, when Papa said that. Not merely sitting inside the room. It should be expressed in the form of love and service. That is why from day one of the ashram, Papa Mataji have left a legacy, which by their grace it is still going on. Because this should go hand in hand. Purushottama Yoga. Not merely one-sided. Comprehensive spirituality. Okay. All our actions. Now we are trying to find out whether we are doing all our actions, including the seva activities he provides through ashram. The persons who are handling it, if they have this vision, God gave me this wonderful opportunity. God gave us the field, God gives us the wherewithal, and God has chosen us to pass it on to His creation. This is the attitude. Now it's very clear what is Purushottama Yoga. In everything it should percolate. That's why yesterday we said, when Mataji was on her last lap of the sadhana, Papa bluntly told her, no, you should practice Purushottama Yoga. Because equally valid. The Avyakta and the Vyakta are equally valid. The creation and the power behind the creation, both are equally valid. Only because there is a creation, we have come to know about the Creator. The Creator is authenticated by the creation. This morning, Chandu was sharing a beautiful principle by a highly spiritually evolved soul. When he was asked to go there in US, early morning they were asked to go on a walk, 15 minutes walk. Instruction is just look at everything. Now we are sitting in the midst of coffee plants and trees. And immediately the mind names that coffee plant. But even before the label was put, that coffee was there, Even before the pepper wine was seen, I have seen a pepper wine. That label, even before that label of pepper wine was there, the pepper wine was there. So where from it came? The first person who named it, we don't know him. So all these, whatever we say, now when we are talking, it's a language, A to Z. And whatever we say, it's a combination of A to Z. And the letters, alphabets are innocent. But when they are combined, they give all these things. We are carried away by those impressions, but we hardly look at the alphabet. So when we are discussing about Purushottama Yoga, it touches and kindles all these things. Try to go to the source, the source, the source, and the source has come out like everything. We are seeing everything, but minus the source. The first sloka. So how do I do that? Only by converting, only by transforming all my thoughts, words and deeds as an offering to that Purushottam. all the knowables, we have understood through this language. But even before that language, the objects were there. Even before somebody named, now we are sitting before the coffee, this coffee, somebody has named it as coffee, It is called a berry, After the pollination, it was a bud. Then after getting the shower, it slowly blossomed. And then the pollination takes place. And when the fertilization has taken place, the berry starts growing. And after 9 months, it becomes fully ripe. Then it is plucked and then dried. And what do? We remove the husk and the seed comes again. It has been there without even people before knowing it, before knowing the process, before knowing anything, that creation was there. Without a tag, without a name. The moment the tag is given, the sense of separateness has taken place. We remove the labeling. When that elevated soul asked the people, the participants, to just walk for 15 minutes, just observe everything, remove all the tags, labels. And what we experience, it cannot be explained again. We cannot put a tag. For the sake of sharing the thought, we can say we become one with the source. While the creation is there as creation. Purushottam Yoga, no? This is highly subjective. Please think over. Is it clear?
Yes, Swamiji. Anna, only Swamiji. இது புரியுறது. ஆனா அப்பப்போ ஃபர்கெட்ஃபுல்னஸ் மறந்துடுறோமே, அது என்னத்துனால?
அவர் தானே மறக்க வச்சிருக்கார். அவர்கிட்ட கேட்கலையே நம்ம ஏன் மறந்து போறேன்னு. நம்ம வெளியில தேடிட்டு இருக்கோம் அந்த ஆன்சரை. அவர்கிட்ட கேட்கறதுக்கு வைக்கிறதுக்கு மறக்க வைக்கிறார். மறந்திருக்கான்னு தோண வைக்கிறார் இல்லையா? அது யாரு தோண வைக்கிறா? அப்படி கேட்டீங்க. You made me to feel that I have forgotten you. Then he will immediately say, enough, I wanted you to remember me, that's all.
ஞாபகம் இல்லாதனால மறந்து போறோம்.
என்னத்தினால? ஆறு சொன்னா ஞாபகம் இல்லைன்னு அப்படின்னு கேட்டுட்டு போனோம். இதெல்லாம் லேபல் ஆகும், டேக் ஆகும். அதனாலதான் அவர் அந்த நான் சொன்னேனே, நீங்க காலையில் ஏந்திருந்து ஒரு ஒற்றைக்கு நடந்து போங்க, உங்க முன்னாடி வர எல்லா ஆப்ஜெக்ட்ஸையும் பாருங்க. அந்த ஆப்ஜெக்டை நீங்கள் இம்மீடியட்டா ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்றது ஒரு லேபல்னால. அந்த லேபல் வரத்துக்கு முன்னாலே அந்த ஆப்ஜெக்ட் உண்டு. இப்போ வெஜிடபிள் கட் பண்றது, you have got bindi, beans, cabbage, so many are there, no? We have named it as bindi, we have named it as lady's finger, no? Even before naming it, it was there. Only then after the labeling started, no? So what was it? Are we trying to see the tag along with the creation? Or are we seeing only the tag? Or are we seeing the creation? The tag we will forget. But the existence is Sat. That is always there. We have to do a lot of thinking, no? Reflectively upon it might become clear to us. Because the knowables, we have revisited everything as knowables. That knowables prevent us from knowing the absolute. We halt. Immediately, அதை எப்படி யூஸ் பண்ணலாம்? That's the only thing. The moment I see a coffee plant or a coffee seed or a tea leaf, immediately I am not worried about the creation, all the tagging. I only see how I can use it. It is very tasty, I tell you. It is wonderful, I tell you. So the tag has given me a concept about it, and then that takes me away from the original creation when it was without any tag. So we have been asked as a mental exercise, to many it might help them. To some it may not help, but many it will help them. When I see an object, I try to see the object not with that label. And then what happens? That we will experience by ourselves. Because then the labeling entity in me is not allowed to function, then what happens? No? யோஜனை பண்ணி பாருங்க.
ஆல்ரெடி இருக்கிற நாலேஜ எப்படி எரேஸ் பண்ணிட்டு பாக்குது?
என்னது?
இப்போ ஒரு ஃப்ரூட் பாக்குறோம்னு சொன்னா அந்த ஆப்பிள் நம்மளுக்கு மைண்ட்ல நல்ல ஸ்ட்ராங்கா அது ஆப்பிள்னு நம்ம பாக்கும்போது
அந்த ஆப்பிள்
எரேஸ் பண்றது சுவாமிஜி, அது ஆல்ரெடி நாலேஜ்
ரிஃப்ளெக்டிவ். அப்பா என்ன சொல்லுவார்? சும்மா நம்ம இந்த ஆப்பிளை பார்க்கிறோம், உடனே எனக்கு டேஸ்ட் ஞாபகம் வருது, அது சாப்பிட தோணுறது, அதை வாங்க தோணுறது, ஆச்சு, அதோட நிறுத்தியாச்சு. அழகா இருக்கு சொல்லுவோம், சீப்பா இருக்குன்னு சொல்லுவோம், எல்லாம் ஆச்சு. பட் இந்த even before naming it and before declaring by somebody that it is a fruit, it was a gift of Mother Nature, and the first person who saw it, who named it, we have no idea. He declared to the world that this is a fruit, you can take it. And somebody would have named it as apple. So after that, we are only thinking in terms of our experience. But we have forgotten how it came. What is that? Not how it came. What is that? When we remove the tag or label, what is that? Let us try to find out. It cannot be answered. It is something purely a journey by which we will try to understand. Purushottama Yoga ஏன் அது வருது? Because we want to see the Purushottama in both Purusha and Prakriti. So this journey will definitely make us aware of the Purushottama. So when I come down to the individual plane again, with that background, whatever I handle it with a touch of love, touch of dedication, touch of perfection, touch of gratitude. Over each and every item. That's why he said even a hinges in the room. Suppose it creaks, immediately we have to become alert. You should not treat it as inert. It is consciousness encased in that particular so-called labeled inert, insentient matter. We recognize it, We recognize it equally like any other living being. Charajara Prema. The love for both sentient and insentient. These are all big words, flowery words. But when we go deeply, then we understand this Purushottama Yoga. That is why it is said that every act that we do should have the stamp of our love. The rest of the things we will take it up tomorrow. Before we move to the 16th tomorrow, which talks about the Devi Sampath and Asuri Sampath. Kindly come back reflecting more and more on this Purushottama Yoga, because that's a very important one. This station is very important station. It's a junction. It is not a small station. With the 20 shlokas, unless and until we try to go deep into it, if we float on the shloka level, we may not be able to eke out the essence out of it. But what is required is to go deep into it. Then each sloka is amplifying the same theme. So kindly go through that. There are only 20, and then let us see how she takes us forward. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Pranam Swami.
Pranamas Swamiji, pranamas.
Pranam Swamiji.
Wayanadu better.
Hari Om, Pranam.
Pranam Swami. Pranam Swami.